Hello and welcome back to the AppleTV podcast. My name is Noah.
And my name is Gavin.
And we are the Blanchard brothers back with you for a little voyage on the TV Ark, a little check-in. Some shows that have wrapped, some shows that are getting really close to wrapping, and we're like, we got to get some stuff off the board. There's a lot of stuff dropping in mid to late April that we're excited about, so we got to get some of these things off the table.
You could say we had to clear the big whiteboard of all the patients that we're seeing right now.
Absolutely. Maybe we save the pit for the
last.
end, and uh, let's talk about Severance season 2. Let's just get right into it.
Yeah, let's go.
What'd you think, brother?
I
That says it all. Gavin normally, if he's really feeling something, it's very easy for him to come out of the gate and just be like, loved it, great, fantastic. The slight hesitation you hear there, that's the reason I gave season 2 a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Very frustrating, very frustrating season. I think when we checked in, only 2 had dropped, and we were like, dude, so locked in, ready to see where this goes. We did a bit of talking about, as I remember, kind of how we were watching the show and like whether the plot machinations were really the mystery box nature of the show was the main
hmm
attraction, or if we were more invested in the characters. And I feel like this season really tested my patience with the balance of that, uh, just in terms of structure, in week to week. And I've heard this sentiment echoed on a few different podcasts, but I think the pit is an interesting comparison point where it has remained through these 14 weeks thus far. Uh, or I guess 13. Did they drop like 2 initially?
Yeah, there were 2 in the
So
first open. Yeah.
whatever, 13 weeks. Uh, every week it's my most anticipated show. It's the thing I'm most excited to sit down and watch and just like be completely glued to. And every week I felt like I was getting like a full, substantial meal of an episode in a way that feels very old fashioned at this point. And every week I sat down to watch Severance, increasingly, as the season went on, there was this feeling of like, that's it? Like, I'm
Yeah.
thinking of the Harmony Cobell episode, which was like 35 minutes long, and I felt like did did nothing to uh it just, that that constant like one step forward, 2 steps back of like, okay,
Now,
we're explaining stuff, but wait, you have more questions now, don't you? And like, but we're not gonna get to them. And just like purposefully obfuscating like so many things. Like when they meet up, uh, Audi Mark and his
mhm.
sister and Cobell before they go to the cabin and all of that stuff, and she's just like cold harbor. And I'm sitting there as an audience member going like, that has no relevance to either of the 2 characters you're talking to right now. You were saying that for the audience, and you are also not explaining what that is for like the 5th or 6th time that it's been brought up this season. And I was
Right.
just like, this is a microcosm of everything that I hate about this season and just the sheer frustration of watching the show. And the reason I say frustration is because it was throughout the season maybe the most visually interesting show on television.
Yeah. I did
In,
like the backstory episode. That was pretty neat.
impeccably shot. And see, that one was even frustrating to me because I I don't know. I felt this sounds. I know a lot of people were like, that was a knockout. That's one of the best episodes of the year. And something about it just kind of rang a little hollow to me. And I think it was because it was like this late in the game attempt to inject this feeling of like, hey, I guess we need to explain who Gemma is and like, you know, show a little bit of their relationship. So maybe you're conflicted about the fact that like we want to have this weird like quadrangle love
Right.
whatever between the various versions of Helly and Helen or Helena and Gemma and Mrs. Casey and all of this stuff. Like I I don't know. It felt like a little too late. And again, structurally, I was like, if that was an episode that maybe we got as like the opener of the season before we went into anything,
Or if you gave
like
me like,
that
give
could
me
have been
little
kind of interesting. I
give me little bits of that at every episode throughout the season. So I'm building up to be
that
like,
too.
what was their whole thing? Because yeah, it's a bit like it's a big difference between like, oh, my wife is dead, she died in a car wreck, and then like, well, your wife's still alive, but she's here, and us not get the connection of like, well, you seem okay enough with yourself. Yes, you asked to be severed and work on this floor, maybe because of that, but like finding out the revelation that she is his wife when we do, I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. Is that where we're going, or is that like a moot point and it doesn't matter? We're going to keep moving towards something bigger. And it's like the pivot goes to, well, that's actually a big deal that she's his Audi's dead wife, quote unquote. Now let's explain how we get there. Well, we're not going to explain how we get there. She's just supposedly died, but she didn't die and she's still alive. Okay, well, should we explain why they love each
Eh,
other so much? Yeah, yeah, we should do that then. Okay,
and
so you got to do one or the other.
I'm just gonna keep extrapolating from here.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you know, when uh Bert and Irving are in the outside world, so to speak, whatever that means, and going to the train station, everything feels very like period and almost like 1960s-ish. Meanwhile, like Dylan's wife seems like a totally normal, like present day,
right.
like secure. I have no concept of what the outside world is at this point.
Where is the outside world, Noah? Are we
Where
in New
we're
Jersey or
located,
are we
what the
in
current state of the
Norway? Where are
world
we?
is, any of
Right.
this stuff. And it's like either that stuff is incredibly important or it doesn't matter at all. But the
You
show to
haven't told
me
me how to
wants
feel
to
about
have
it
you,
regardless.
yes, wants to have you believe that like no, it's all gonna mean something. And I'm increasingly under the impression that I don't think it's gonna land the plane. Again, all of that said, we head into the finale last week at the point that we're recording this, and I was like, see this right here, like the opening sequence of that finale episode where it's Mark, Innie and Outie Mark talking through
That
the
was
camcorder.
perfect.
That was one of the best sequences
Yes.
in the show thus far. And
Uh-huh.
I'm sitting there going like, where was this? Where was this energy all season? And I was like,
Right.
the whole setup of like he's gonna reintegrate, like that was the starting point of the season. Never really like just felt like such a just a wheel spin, just like
Right.
a little like side plot that we jumped into where I'm like, we could have had this scene, we could have gotten to that cabin so much earlier. And the conflict of the season could have been any Mark versus Outie Mark, which it seems like that's where we're headed in season three. But also, when I step back and logically think of about how that would even work, it makes no sense whatsoever. Because once he's out, what is the incentive to go back in? You know, I or vice versa. And once he's in, how long can he stay in as any Mark? The way that we leave this season,
You just
I
make it
don't
a
know.
you make it a malfunction of the chip in his brain. It, like it comes at different moments and it's like he, pops in his innie and he's like, "Oh, what?"
Different
So he like,
impulses, yeah, at different
cuts his arm
times.
open or like tattoos his arm with something and then
Starts
Howdy Mark
fucking with
wakes up.
himself.
It's like, "Oh God." It's like the substance but like on a quick scale and you know,
Yeah.
basically that. Yeah, I have a theory because there's several shows that I'm like, okay, well, this is just bullshit. Like, you're spinning wheels, you wrote yourself into a corner, you don't know how to get out of it. And I'm at the point where I don't want to start anything new. I'm invested in it. If I don't finish it, I'm gonna gnaw at myself. And it's stuff I watch with Becky, so it's like we'll put it on because it's there. But I'm not really annoyed if I'm getting a lot of because Mav has been doing a lot more babble. I think he's gonna start talking soon. I'm not
Yeah.
really annoyed if that happens because not to like try to shift from Severance too quickly, but like I don't know when you quit watching Yellow Jackets, but like I've kept up with this last season and it is just like, what are you doing? Like,
I tap. I mean, I
like
almost tapped
I
out before season two was over, and then I officially was like, I'm done with this show forever. When they killed off my girl Juliette Lewis, fuck
and
you. And at the same time, I was like, I felt like she, smelt what was coming down the pike and was like, get me the fuck off this show, because I just
and honestly, dude, with what
the
they've done, with
steep
what, dude,
decline.
with what they've done, she is like sitting pretty right now, like you said, because like they've gone so far as like, oh, well, actually, right before they get rescued, Joe McHale and these two other people show up and find them, but they kill one of the other people. So it's Joe McHale and this woman. And like, I don't know if you've seen the previews for it, but they've tagged like, ooh, Hillary Swank. She's in one episode. She's been the last episode, dude. It's been like 6 or 7 episodes so far. She's shown up, and I'm pretty sure maybe she'll be in the next one. Maybe she won't. I don't know. And it's to the point that I'm like,
I'm
I
so
think it's
glad I didn't
really,
take the bait because
dude.
the trailer, they almost got me back
Yes,
with the swank,
yeah,
dude. They
uh
almost
huh.
got me back.
And again, dude, she's a throw-in character. You haven't seen or heard the girl that's like her younger version. You haven't seen or heard from her the first two seasons. She just miraculously shows up like, oh, she was just another girl there that survived. We
It's
haven't
so
seen
funny how
her.
they keep finding characters from the background that have been there the whole
Exactly,
time, like
dude.
they did in season two. Yeah, I completely gave up on that. And again, Severance, I'm there for season three.
Yeah, I'll definitely do season three.
I'm not fully out. I just like this.
And you
I
didn't
hope
do
it's not
Silo,
more of
right?
this. No, but I want to now.
Dude, dude, if you're a little bit let down by Severance, go watch the first two seasons of Silo, because as much as you may feel like, okay, season two, what are we doing here? You will feel
It
better
does
like,
have a
oh,
payoff, right?
it does have a good payoff, and it leaves you in a place where I'm like, shit, man, I'm down for it. And
I'm
again,
amped for season. See, that's how I
right,
wanted to feel going out of this was like, at least give me even after this kind of frustrating, wobbly season. Uh, I wanted to at least feel like, okay, but I'm pumped for season three. And instead, I came
right,
out of this going like, oh, I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
yeah,
Very, very measured response. So yeah,
yeah,
we were not as I'm glad we didn't have to get into an argument over it, and I didn't have to really like shit on the show. But I'm glad we
no.
were both kind of mixed on it, which seems to be the consensus from most of my friends that I've talked to
And
about it
again,
thus far.
my theory did get into is like maybe, just maybe, there was, and I don't know how this would apply for things that are this new. Maybe there was a concerted effort in all writing rooms, in all of Hollywood land, TV land, that said, okay, they want to push us this long. They want to take that long to come to the table for a deal. We're going to all collectively pitter patter with the last 3 or 4 episodes or an entire season of our shows to push viewership to an all time almost low or to a hate watching scenario. And we're going to get right to the precipice where we're going to pull back at the last bit, and we're going to look every studio in the eye and say, you got to take that long again when we come to negotiate? Yeah, AI could do this, but AI is not going to get you anywhere better than where we're at now because we've sunk it so low. All the data that AI has to work with will just give you shittier and
It's
shittier
just
shows.
yes, it's just gonna be
So
more of our
it
crap.
maybe it's a concerted effort to just like take it back down, and
So,
maybe it's just
excuse
no.
me, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but speaking of take it back down, when you adjusted your mic, did you up the decibels on the mic there?
No, not particularly. Am I going too high?
Your
I
t
can
your
take the
t
main down.
your T's are hitting really strong in my
Oh,
ears. I don't know
okay.
how it's sounding for the listeners, but
Let me just take the whole thing back a scooch.
just
Okay.
just a
How's the
teeny
main?
tiny
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, I just turned the main thing from the board down, so that might help.
It's
And
a
I
little
should
more.
probably get a pop filter.
That would definitely I would recommend
But
some
yeah,
sort of screen.
that was
But
just
hey,
my
you're good right there. You're
okay,
good.
yeah. Yeah, we stay right down here. We're just
Yeah,
saying,
get in the velvety, the very the smooth zone. Okay, but yeah,
but yeah.
Yellow Jacket season three, I completely avoided. Gavin says you can skip it. Where do we want to go now? Let's talk about a good show. Let's talk about a good show.
I did finish all of
Let's
Deadwood
talk.
and I finished all of Inland Empire. and I'm about to be done
I
with
think you
Rome.
mean Boardwalk Empire?
Inland Empire, I watched the rabbits, and I was like, this is a little too much, a little creepy. I got to turn it off. I
I
don't
was
have
like,
3 hours. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I only have 3 hours. You're right. Boardwalk Empire. I did finish all of that, and I was like, I want another period piece. And um, did you watch all Boardwalk Empire at all?
I don't think I actually finished Boardwalk Empire. I think I only made it through season three. There's 5 seasons, right?
Right, and it's one of
Yeah.
those where like four happens, and I think five is what season four of Deadwood would have been. Really concise, budgetary. Like, okay, we're gonna move it up a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of years, and we're gonna like do everything because it was a period thing. But that was just fun to see everybody who like we all know is like fucking killing now. That was fun to see them like, oh well, here they are killing, and no one knows who they are. Shea Wiggum, Mike Shannon, all of them,
I
just
mean, they were they
top
were
of
all
their game.
they were all
They were
popping
known,
in
but they
that
weren't
era.
like
Yeah, they were definitely all getting cast in things around that
this
time.
is okay. Technically, just for like the general public's sake, this is a pre-Superman Michael Shannon. We've because that's where most of the people are like, who's that guy? Oh, he's been in a bunch of things. Oh, they put him in the back of the car, Bad Boys too. Okay,
He's
he's
he's the
that guy.
he's the
He's all
Ritz
he's
he's the Ritz Cracker Man at this point.
yeah yeah.
Uh,
Um, and then of course Shea Wiggum just killing it as always. And again, I mean, love Steve Buscemi, great and everything. Watching him carry a show like that, just
have
the
you
way he is, I'm like, dude,
have
this
you?
guy,
Sorry, side note. Have you watched any of the studio yet
not
on,
yet.
on Apple? Okay, I'm
No, I
not
got to
gonna
start
say
that.
anything, but Buscemi made me think of that.
Okay,
Uh,
good, good.
I do just want to say the studio is my favorite new comedy since like Hacks and the other two.
Okay.
It is absolutely hysterical. I love it. It's so
How many
good.
episodes are there?
There are four out so far.
Okay,
Well, no, excuse me, three. Three so far, yes.
okay.
Uh, I love it. I love it. It's great stuff. Um, on the note of old shows, did you see what Prime just added? I think as of like last night. They have
Yeah.
they have Crime Story, the post Miami Vice Michael
Oh,
Mann project when it was like NBC gave him a blank check to do
oh,
to produce whatever he wanted, like complete creative control, starring the legend Farina
of
in the lead
course.
role
Yes.
and it's a period piece set in 63 in Chicago,
Wow.
basically based on a lot of the guys who, man knows in real life and like were the inspiration for Hannah and Heat and like Anne
Huh.
Macaulay, like, and it's a cops and criminals thing. But I literally watched the hour and a half long pilot, which is directed by Abel Ferrara,
Oh my God, dude.
and
Really?
the sheer no, Gavin, it was literally everywhere they turned the camera. I was like, oh, 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 oh my God, dude, Stephen Lang, uh, Ted Levine,
Oh my God.
William Russ, the fucking dad
Jesus.
from Boy Meets World, dude. Uh,
Dude.
just so, dude, our girl from To Live and Die in L.A.
Oh shit.
That's his wife in the show.
Dude. Okay,
Okay.
maybe we should just dive into that now. Just binge
I
it all.
it
We come.
literally I put on Prime the other night and I was like we honestly we shouldn't because there's a billion other shows coming soon and I was like do I need another show? I was like I'm already in the midst of a bunch, they're
I
wrapping
do.
up but there's a bunch of new ones coming, but I was just like oh dude, Crime Story, I'm gonna give this a shot, and then I noticed I was like oh dude, the pilot's like an hour and a half, it's basically like a TV movie, and
Isn't it the same way Miami Vice was? I
I
thought
was
Miami
like
Vice was
yeah
like
yeah yeah
a 90. Yeah.
yeah, same thing. And I was like, all right. I was like, is the first one directed by Michael Mann? I go look up and it's like, no, it's Abel Ferrara. And then I start looking down the director's list of some of these episodes and just the general cast. And I was like, okay, I got to do this. It's 2 seasons, I think 44 episodes total. But um,
See, I
I'm
wouldn't know
gonna
that because
I'm
I
gonna be background watching Crime Story over the next like month or so if you
Well,
want to
see,
do that with me.
now that I've made my own on there, so I have my own like thing, and I'm not bugging you and mom with stuff. I can do that.
Yeah.
So
Uh, so that'll, and I'm glad you watched Deadwood. We will definitely talk about that at some point in the future in some capacity because I've been wanting to rewatch it. Barham, has also been wanting to do it as well. So maybe we can get a three-man pod going on that at some point. Just
I
to,
also watched this doesn't
because Barham has not watched the movie yet. Have you watched the
okay.
movie?
I did watch I watched everything with that.
Okay. So yeah,
I went
Barham
from
has yet to do
Deadwood.
the movie, so I will start rewatching that as well. I'll tell Barham to watch the movie, and then we can all have a collective Deadwood celebration. I don't even know if it's an anniversary, but fuck it. Well,
25 years, I thought they said.
is it? Or was that
It
last year? I don't know
might have
when
been
it
last year
started.
when they it just that's what came up on the HBO art. And I did watch, this doesn't count as, I think it's just a document. Well, it's an episodic thing. It was like 4 episodes. But I watched this Netflix documentary on narrated by Ed Harris, but it's all about like the true story behind Wyatt Earp and his revenge ride and stuff like that. It was pretty dope.
Okay. That makes me think that we are recording this, I believe, the day
Yes.
after Val Kilmer passed, unfortunately. Uh, And so, yeah, I mean, shout out. You did shoot me a text about we should do a You're Killing It, Kilmer, and give you said the top five. You said non-Heat performances. See, to
Yeah.
me, it should be non-Tombstone performances. To me, Doc Holliday is the
Yeah. Okay.
definitive
Well, that's because I wanted to
Kilmer
put that on there as number one. So
performance.
yeah, if we it five things that are not Doc Holliday.
Because having rewatched Heat recently, it's like I love him in the movie, but let's
He
not get
doesn't
it
do much.
let's not get
He
it
is kind of an
twisted.
asshole. You're right.
He is there for literally the action sequences, which he is locked in during. But
Yeah.
like the characterization of Chris Hurlis is just like there's nothing there.
Nothing
Like this
redeemable. Yeah.
dude, well, and also it's like he is the embodiment of the action is the juice, where it's like that's when that character comes alive, is
Right.
when they're in the middle of a firefight. When he's not in there, what does he have to do? He has to fucking gamble
Oh,
constantly and like all
shit.
this stuff that we don't see on camera, but we're told like he's a gambling addict because he's just an adrenaline junkie. He's got to constantly be, or he's dead inside essentially. So
And okay, speaking of that, did you watch How to Rob a Bank on Netflix?
I did not.
It is all about the Hollywood bank robber. I think he robbed something like millions of dollars. He wore prosthetics. He hit the same banks multiple times. But he was this guy who used to cook meth. When that business kind of ran out in the late 80s, he just started watching he watched Point Break, he watched Heat, he watched all these movies and basically like just did what they did, and like he could control the crowd by himself. He could get into a vault by himself. He didn't have a group of guys until later on in his career. And they said at one point he robbed a bank, got into the getaway van, got into a compartment underneath it. And when all the cops left, like 45 minutes later, his buddy who is in a restaurant's like, all right, boss, let's go home. And he gets out of the van, gets in the driver's seat, and they drive off. And they're like, this guy's a ghost. No, he was in the fucking parking lot the whole time. It was like, I didn't know where it was going.
Is
And they
this a
do make a
new
lot of things.
doc or did this
It
come
came
out
out
like a
last
while
year.
ago? Okay.
It came out last year, and I just, it was one of those, oh yeah, I started watching that. Let me turn it on. And I just sat there. Um, God, when was that? It was like a week, last week, I think. I can't remember when it was, but like, I was like, let me finish this because I'd started it. I was like, where's this going? And when they flipped from like the backstory on the dude to like, and then he started robbing banks. I was like, oh, okay. And it just ratcheted up from there. But I'm like, but they literally, it's the Hollywood gang, Hollywood bank. Like they called him Hollywood because they could never see his face. He had prosthetics on, makeup, all this other stuff. You took forever for them. They didn't know who he was until they
Yeah.
finally got in a shootout with him and, two other guys. And you're like, well, how the hell? And I'm like, well, it is 2025. So the guys who got caught with him, they all did their stint and got out of prison, and they're there to tell you the story now, a la Cocaine Cowboys type, where they can sit there and be like, oh, this is what we did, you know. But it was a really good one if you're ever looking for like a just pretty solid, like, I'm not having it on the background, I'm not paying attention. It's enough that like you to pique your interest at the right times that you'll tune in and be like, oh, okay, didn't know that. But yeah, that was another. We were talking about Heat, and that jogged my memory.
Yeah. Uh, well, where do you hold on. Let me pull up my current list of active shows right now.
Yeah,
Uh okay. So another one that just wrapped up uh this week or last week rather. Common Side Effects, which I think I might have shouted out at some point on one of our previous episodes, but it was 10 episodes. So yeah, it ran for 10 weeks. an Adult Swim show which you can watch on Max, of course. And Mike Judge is a producer on it. The main creatives I was not as familiar with, but fantastic show. It's about a magic mushroom that basically is like a cure-all drug and could potentially like render the pharmaceutical industry irrelevant. And the mycologist, mytologist, I forget what you call a mushroom person, but uh, the guy who discovers it and his efforts to basically bring it to the public and avoid, big pharma coming after him, various other government interests and entities, competing uh, mushroom growers, all sorts of crazy stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, Very fun show. I like a very what feels like the setup for like a really solid indie movie, through the nature of the animation and the way it's done, kind of transcends the core story. And I like it was such a satisfying season, and it hits this final kind of montage where I was like, the show can do one of two things right now, where it's like it could end right here, but it could also backdoor into a season two. And then I was like, wait, there's so many other places this could go. And I look up, and sure enough, like 2 days before the finale aired, it had already been renewed for a season two. So
Huh.
that is one of the best new animated shows I have seen since Primal, Jendy Tartakovsky's Primal, which is also, of course, on Adult Swim, and you can also watch on Max. Uh, there's still incredible things being done over on Adult Swim and the William Street whole project over there. So uh, if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. Very funny show, uh, action packed, trippy, uh, out there, but also has a lot of heart to it. Just a rock solid 9 out of 10 from me.
Where are you at with Invincible? Have you kept up with that?
I am so behind on Invincible.
Okay.
I think I started season 2A, uh, but I don't even think I finished that.
Okay.
And they're in season 3 now, is that correct?
Technically, yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
The
no,
the
I'm way behind, but
the guest voice spots are just getting better and better
I
every
did
episode.
see I did see elements of the fight uh with Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character, I
Yep.
believe.
Hmm.
And I intentionally didn't watch all of it because I was like, oh, is this the equivalent of the Omni-Man fight from the end of season 1? Which was again the thing where I was like, this show is like it was the thing that ultimately took it from like, oh, this is like pretty solid, like quality animation throughout to like, oh, they're really doing something here. You could tell they like kind of saved the budget and knew when to like press for like, okay, we want this finale to like
In this,
rock. And I think like season two initially out of the gate just like didn't grab me as much, and because of that I did not stick with it week to week, and then it got away from me, and now now here we are. But you're saying
they've
definitely
done
catch back up.
they've done enough to like the Omni-Man thing is there, and then like the whole like your planet's gonna be taken over as part of the Empire thing. But there's so many other things they've stacked that you're like, okay, but how's he going to do all this? Particularly, there's one character who he fights and thinks that he's dealt with, but comes back. And probably the coolest thing I've seen is basically playing with timelines and dimensions, basically goes and grabs all these other versions of Invincible and brings him to where our Invincible is, and is like, just fuck shit up. And basically, like, some of them are just as powerful as him, some of them aren't. Some of
Hmm.
them other heroes can kill, some of them only he can kill. So it's like, I don't know anything about the source material. I never read Invincible. I don't know where it is now in
Oh,
relation
I mean,
to,
they're so far beyond anything
yeah.
I've followed in the trade paperbacks at this point.
So
I
it's
did
one of
not
those where,
stick with
like,
it for very long, but
if they're not even following any sort of like base storyline from a comic book, I wouldn't even care. But it's still great.
okay.
I just watch it when I get a chance to, because I'm worried he's going to get to the point. Like Mab knows Bluey, he likes Bluey, he knows the theme song and dances to it. But like, I'm so worried I'm going to get to that day where it's like I've got a cartoon on and it's Invincible, and it's like Oh, well, it's not one of those cartoons, buddy. It's like one of Dad's cartoons. So I'm like, because most of the time if he's awake, it's music going and just we're hanging out. But if
Yeah.
he's asleep, I'll slip something in. And 9 times out of 10, if it's a movie or TV show, he's not paying any attention. But if it's music or, something cartoonish, he will look up because he kind of looked at me once during the was like, what? I don't know this. What are you? I get it's colorful, but like, what are you doing? This isn't Bluey. What are you doing? And I was just like, "You're
It's
good,
like
buddy."
it's
And
like
he just kind of,
turn this crap off, Dad.
yeah, yeah,
Put on the good cartoon.
exactly.
Okay. Um, oh, I did want to. Okay, but I mean, I'm building to something,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I did want to ask you if you watched any of Dope Thief yet.
No, dude. I'm so behind on Apple stuff because like Severance was the thing I was there for, and then we've jumped to like uh 1923, and then this Mobland thing with Tom Hardy,
Okay, well
and
we
we
can
watched
jump.
Adolescence and all that. Like, just
I was building to Adolescence, but thank
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
for, fucking up my transition. But
No, you're
anyways,
fine.
Mobland, uh, I watched the pilot. I did not know this was a secret Taylor Sheridan show.
Oh, it is this Taylor Sheridan show?
It, it might as well fucking be from everything I gather about it. But no, I
It's
don't.
it,
It
it's
seems
set
like
from
a
the underworld of Guy Ritchie. I thought we
it
were going
seems
back
like
to
a
visit.
it seems like a branch because I'm already into the thing the same way I felt about Landman, where I'm like, dude, every single second that Tom Hardy is on screen, I am so just like I'm in awe. I'm like, he is truly one of my favorite actors. I watch him do anything.
Can we get
I,
Taboo
I
season two?
I'm just like I'm so in it. And then there's the rest of the show around him, which I'm just kind of like, dude, this is like leftover Guy Ritchie shit from like 20 years ago. Like, what are we? I don't know, dude. I'm gonna stick with it for a bit because again, he is so watchable in it and he's crushing it. I love the character and the characterization thus far, but I don't know. And I mean, I like Pierce and Helen Mirren, but they are in some other different show, man. I don't know what the
Yeah.
like yeah, that's where again I was like that's where it feels like a Taylor Sheridan show to me because
Well,
tonally it feels like it wants to
okay.
do like five or six different shows all at the same time and I'm like I like some of these, but I don't like all of these put together. This is a weird combo plate of food here. I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, that brings me. I'm gonna have to look. I'm sure it's been a thing beforehand, and I just don't know it. But I'm trying to think of like where is the Tom Hardy Guy Ritchie collab? Like, what are they? What
Rock
is
and
have they?
Rolla.
That's okay. I say I never saw Rock and Rolla.
What
I
what's
never seen it.
dude,
Never seen it.
Jerry B and Tom Hardy?
Never seen it, dude.
You've never okay. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, it's 2008, dude. That could be a 2x2. Just saying.
Yeah, it's eligible.
Yeah.
It's eligible.
When we do that, 2008, 1998, lock, stock, and rock and roll.
Sure.
Boom, boom, boom.
What's his next movie coming out? I'm sure he's got one before the end of the year.
Tom Hardy or Guy Ritchie?
Guy Ritchie.
Yeah, that he is a. I thought he was a hard worker, but
Speaking,
goddamn.
no, we do still have the Tom Hardy, Gareth Evans collab, Havoc, which will be on Netflix at the end of this month.
What is that? I didn't no idea that was coming. See, I don't. Again, I don't look for stuff. Stuff
Um,
finds me, and
well,
if I don't talk to you,
I'm
then it
sure
doesn't
this one
find
will
me.
find you, but I found it very funny that the trailer for Havoc, the movie, uses the Fontaine's DC song that is the opening credits song for Mobland.
Huh?
So
You're
I
not
feel like
gonna
there's
like
going to be a
this.
lot of market confusion when both of those are out and about, but whatever. What were you going to say?
Fountain of Youth. It's him, Natalie Portman, and John Krasinski is the lead.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely not.
like
No,
next. I
no, I
told you you're
saw
not gonna like it.
I saw the trailer for it. I did not real that's a Guy Ritchie movie?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
See,
Absolutely not.
he
Here,
sneaks in there with stuff you don't think about. You're like, wait, that like the Covenant. I loved it. Thought it was great. What it said Guy Ritchie's the Covenant. But he put The Gentleman. Is that the TV show? No, that's a TV show. Never mind. I thought he did The Gentleman, and The Gentleman was 2019. I thought he did that and Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which I don't know if you've seen that one. Henry Cavill, that shit is dope.
I hear good
Ministry of
things
Ungentlemanly
from you
Warfare.
and Evan Twig. I hear good
Yeah,
things. Uh,
dude, that he it's like he's making up for Aladdin. It's like he made Aladdin in 2019, and he's just been giving us The Gentleman, Wrath of Man, Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, The Gentleman TV show, Ministry of Gentleman Warfare, and there's this other one that was on the Stars app, Operation Fortune, that I saw was one of his from 2023, but I didn't watch it when I had Stars. I'm sure
you
it's
mean
available somewhere else.
Operation Fortune Rue de Guerre,
Yeah, yeah,
starring
that.
Josh Hartnett and Aubrey Plaza?
And it looks like somebody else is in there too.
Is that right?
Is
Did
it
I get that right?
Jason Statham? Aubrey Plaza, Carrie Hughes, Hugh Grant, Josh Hartnett, yeah. Bugsy Malone, Eddie Marsan. Yeah, you're right. I didn't see that one. It was there the whole time, but I just didn't watch it.
Eddie Marsan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We got lost in there. Mobland. We'll see. Big we'll
We'll
see
see.
after that pilot. I don't know what to tell you. Dope Thief. n- I think I think it just might be one of your new favorite shows.
I'm pretty sure it will be.
I think you're gonna. I mean, I'm enjoying it. I think you're gonna love it. I think you're gonna love it.
You're gonna
Brian
love
Ty.
the what you're seeing. I
It
guarantee it.
is Brian Tyree Henry. Kind of just. It feels like the gloves are off. I don't know how else to put it other than it's just like everything that we like about him as a performer is just like cranked up to 11. He gets to do it all. It's a
Okay, good.
big flashy lead part and it's like
That's what I wanted from
he's
that
one of
FBI
our
show he was in.
he's one of our best actors literally alive right now and he's just got a really fun show that I was very encouraged to find out is it is uh way funnier and way less self-serious than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was getting like Breaking Bad meets to be fair,
End of
Breaking Bad's a very
watch.
funny show, but no,
Yeah.
I thought I was getting more like uh The
A Corey end of
Wire
watch. Yeah,
level of
yeah.
like grittiness mixed with
Right.
like maybe a little bit of The Shield even. I don't know. And what it is more like it's more dumb criminals. It's more like Coen Brothers with a little bit of edge to it, honestly. The more I'm watching of it, the show
Hmm.
like it I'm digging it. But it's yeah, you know the basic conceit, which
Yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
these two guys are posing as DEA members and ripping off low-level drug dealers. And it's kind of like I thought that was going to be the show, like kind of like that's their thing and like oh they get wrapped up in some stuff. But it's like that very quickly is like they fuck up very early on and have to like then it's basically in chaos because it's like well these guys are trying to kill us and we don't know we've got like we got the DEA and criminals after us like everybody coming from all sides and we're just trying to like get out of Philadelphia alive. That's it. And in the midst of it you have just you know the kinetic energy that is Brian Tyree Henry cranked up to 11 under a lot of stress, but still managing to like crack jokes in the midst of all of this
And
that I
what
know
about
will particularly have you dying. So Wagner Moura, not
hmm
to spoil things, there's only 4 episodes out so far. He's a little background for a bit. I would say a
uh-huh.
little like where I was kind of like, all right, like I don't know if I was like, I thought this was kind of like a two-man show, but then I was like, no, I mean, it's Dope Thief. I mean, it's Brian Tyree Henry is the lead. And then I was like, okay, so it's not quite as much of a buddy thing. And then they kind of slipped right past me again. And I was like, wait, I think it might be like a really cool buddy thing with the, like, he, he comes alive. I don't, you got to watch it. You got to check out the show.
I'm
It's
gonna
great.
and I
Huge,
promise you I will, but it's gonna be one of those that like I'll watch one episode with Becky. If she's not into it, I will binge that shit in a day.
yeah.
If she's in, then we're gonna have to take time and watch it. That's
It's
the only thing.
only 8 episodes, so they're about
Yeah.
halfway through. I am thoroughly digging it. It has, excuse me, the better way to describe it, it is definitely in that FX vein of like a Justified or a, a Sons,
Well, see, that was saying that's what I
like,
wanted
but
from that class of '09
just
show
cranked
with
up a
him.
little
I
bit.
wanted and he was great in that. some of the, but it's not, he wasn't the lead, so to speak, because you saw them in
It was
like,
like
this is their
multiple
first year,
perspectives. Yeah,
this is
yeah.
their current year, this is in the future when they start using AI and survey. Like, it was neat to see that perspective. I don't want another season. It's done. It should be just a one and done. I don't know why they would do another one. He is a badass in the present time. He's kind of a power hungry guy in the future, and he's obviously like a do anything I can to get by rookie to actually like graduate, and all this other stuff. So but I wanted what you're telling me he is in this show. I wanted that from that class of '09 show because he was back at FX, and having, 4 seasons of Atlanta to watch him in, you know. Speaking of that, do you remember off the top of your head, did they go to the aquarium at all in Atlanta? I feel like there was a scene with Van and Ern in like the aquarium there.
Yeah,
Okay, all
I'm
right.
pretty sure.
Well, we were Becky and I were like trying to do like a low key like look around Atlanta when we went this past weekend, and we did go to like the big viewing part of the aquarium, and we kind of
I
stood
want
made
to
our
say
stuff.
that's
People,
either on one of the
would
dates
they
they go
decide they're
on
going to
in
break
either
up?
season one or season two. Yeah, it might be.
So decide they're done, but they're still going to be together, like
I
co-parent for
I
Lottie or
don't know.
whatever,
Talk about a
something
show
like
I need
that.
to go back and rewatch,
Oh,
dude.
dude,
Literally,
that would
just the best, the
I would
fucking
do
best.
an episode by episode, even though it's been
Well,
done to death.
I'm gonna tease this because I literally got him to agree to it today. They just recently dropped the uh the trailer for South Park season 27. They're finally
Hmm.
back proper. There's been a lot of these like they did some
One-off things.
special movies for Paramount, and there's been all these rights issues with Viacom and Comedy Central, and like it's a whatever. We're finally getting back to a proper season. It starts in July. We're committed to it right now. Baron Williams and I will be covering every episode of season 27 of South Park, week to week as it airs. We are diehards. We have a lot of expertise. We spent a year and a half living across from each other, and we rewatched a lot of seasons at that point. That's when we were back in college, and yeah, we're again, like I said, diehard fans. If you have not watched the trailer, it is, I cannot wait for this. It is, of course, I feel like much needed at the moment, at
Of
least for me
course.
personally.
Yeah.
Uh, yes, they hit everything in the trailer, and I can't wait to go through that week to week. It's going to be wild. But
Dope.
yeah, I don't know what we're going to call it, but it'll be a little mini series that we'll have here. Obviously, you're welcome to join. That airs on Wednesday nights. We'll be probably dropping those episodes on Thursdays. And yeah, look forward to that starting, so I believe, first or second week in July. Yeah.
Hmm.
So uh, on Apple, before we transition over, while you're checking out Dope Thief, there's a two-part documentary series called Number One on the Call Sheet.
I saw that.
Check that out. Uh, it's about male black actors and female black actors
Hmm.
and their experiences in Hollywood. They don't necessarily get everybody. I'd be very interested afterwards to talk to you about who you think was missing and
Oh yeah,
why you
definitely.
think they were missing.
Hmm.
Uh, but it pretty incredible. Basically, like it's about 3 hours end to end if you watch them back to back, and they are distinctly made by two different documentarians and have different styles. So it doesn't have that like it makes sense that they're split in two. Initially, I was like, why isn't it just one big project? But yeah, really, really good. I don't want to spoil any of the nuggets from there, but I highly recommend you check it out.
Hmm.
Okay, it's time. I think I can safely go ahead and say probably the best show of the year, but I don't even want to put that on it because I think it
Uh,
transcends the year. I think it's just flat out, it's one of the best TV shows
TV
that's
shows,
that's
mini
one of the
series,
best
limited series, whatever you want to call it.
accomplishments, pieces of art, whatever, in our lifetimes, personally. I know that's a lot of hyperbole, but if unless you've
Yeah,
been living
and
under
this
a
this
rock
this
right
means,
now.
and it's in the same. This is also like The Leftovers has come out too, and then there's this show. And yeah, we've been talking about the pit every chance we got, but that's because this show wasn't out yet.
Well,
And
and also,
I,
again, that's why I kind of want to reserve judgment where I'm like, adolescence is like on this other plane of existence almost, where I'm like, for me, when I look back, I'm like, The Pit, I could tell you right now, there's only one episode left. The Pit is the fucking show of the year, dude.
yeah,
I'm like, that is my
the
show
only
of the
way that
year.
the
That
only
is
way that the pit gets
absolutely my
better,
show of the year. But
If the pit
Adolescence is
does
a 10 out of
adolescence,
10 masterpiece. Like
it,
it is absolutely untouchable, god tier level television. It is technical mastery matched
that's
with
it.
impeccable writing, brilliant acting, and it has something to say. It's everything you want from a piece of art and entertainment. It is so fucking tough to get through, but it is so
I
necessary that it is now being shown in, I believe, most UK public schools as a teaching tool
good,
to speak to young men.
good.
Uh, Again, like I said, unless you've been living under a rock, I assume that pretty much everybody either knows about it or has probably seen it. I thought it was very telling that the Electric State, the Russo brothers, much maligned 320 plus $1 million debacle, starring Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown, that nobody liked, nobody wanted, and I think a decent amount of people watched because it was the thing on the page. But in the same weekend, I believe that the Electric State dropped on Friday, the Thursday before, Adolescence dropped with like no fanfare,
Nope, nothing at all.
no big trailer or announcement beforehand that I was aware of.
No
Completely,
premiere in
you know,
Hollywood, nothing.
completely flew under my radar and organically. This is like again, as much as I want to hate on them, this is like the magic of Netflix is a thing still can truly catch fire in the way that we saw Squid Game a few years ago become like there's tons like literally there's tons of shows and foreign language shows that had been released. They had fully expanded into the international markets. Like that was a goal for them.
Yeah,
Squid Game was a product of that, and then organically just like boom, blew up. And I was like, this is definitely the first time I think that's happened since where they had a legitimate, just like they put nothing really, no effort into marketing this thing. It found its audience, and I think it has remained in the. I know it was number one for like weeks, and I think has like
do you
consistently maintained a spot in its top 10.
do you think
Uh,
they ordered it, or do you think that Adolescence was made and they just happened to be the first person that got a chance to buy it? Because I'm wondering if they were like, "Yo, we need to buy this right now.
so
We
I'm
need to
not.
this." I don't know. I just don't know how that works because I know,
I'm not
like,
sure they've released a lot. Like I think this might have been a Netflix ground up thing because they have so much behind the scenes material. They've been pushing a lot of it on their social media and their YouTube channel, etc.
I've seen
And
interviews with Stephen Graham about the
so
production
and I
too,
know and
on late nights
obviously
and stuff like that.
and Stephen Graham is a co-writer and producer on the series. I
Hmm.
know that he essentially like birthed the core idea along with Barantini, I believe, is the director who
Yeah,
he worked on
Boiling Point.
excuse me, Boiling Point with, which also I did not realize that subsequent to Boiling Point, they adapted that into a series
Hmm.
with the same like kitchen staff that
Huh.
takes place right after the show or in, a few weeks later. Graham is in it, but he's not the main focus. And I think it's only like 4 or 5 episodes, but it completely slipped under my radar. I believe that is on Netflix, so I need to catch up on that now. But yes, there
Huh.
is a sequel to Boiling Point the
Yeah, and
movie
Boiling, and
that is
if you have
also
Peacock, Boiling Point's on that to watch right now.
yes, and of course that was all done in one take and is one
Yes.
night in a high-end restaurant in London. And I believe we talked about it. It dropped like I want to see, was that 2021, 2022? We talked about it at some point. It was
It
definitely
was,
it was in my
yeah.
top 10 of
You
whatever year
rented
it
it. You
was.
rented it
Yes.
and told me I could watch it. It was like it was before the bear, right?
Yes, it's the same.
I
No, it's
remember
the
it
same
come.
same summer as the bear.
That's
Literally, like
remember. Yeah, because I
we're
remember
talking like
coming
weeks apart,
like later
probably.
that year. I was like, what are all these fucking like cooking things doing out of nowhere? Like I know Food Network's big, but there's this fucking cooking movie Noah has me watching, and it's like this cooking show he's had me watching. Like what? But no, I didn't even watch the bear when it first came out. I had to wait till after that. I knew it was a thing, but I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So a lot of the same creative team that worked on Boiling Point, which
yeah.
uh, again was incredibly impressive. I think they did that one in 4 takes, and like I said, set in a busy night in the kind of the confines of a restaurant. So I sit down to watch Adolescence, and within the first 5 minutes, I was like,
Oh, we're going places.
And I was just immediately like,
Yeah,
well, you guys just on a pure technical level just absolutely obliterated everything you did in
right.
that movie in the first 5 minutes of this show. We've barely started, and I was like, and you guys are gonna do this for 4 hours, four individual take like immediately I was just like, holy
And
shit, I
are
can't
they
believe this. But here's the thing. Even as I'm sitting there with my technical brain that sometimes I can't turn off of just like that, oh my God, how'd they do that?
have they transitioned from
Um,
that to like a drum shot
I
all of a sudden?
I was amazed how, as much as I was still doing that, I was so like just absolutely enraptured by everything that was going on simultaneously, where the I never felt distanced from the drama at all, which is obviously part of the purpose of filming it in the way that it is. It's like you can't look away from this. You have to
Right.
sit in it and deal with it and think about it. Uh, I just, I, again, the merging of a like absolutely rock solid script that executed on a normal like, you know, normal coverage, one shot, two shot, single camera show in the traditional format that we've been watching dramas for forever, I maintain would still be one of the most talked about and effective shows of the year, even if it was presented in a different way. But
Hmm.
the again, technical mastery that is put on top of these other masterful elements, it's just I I don't even know how to talk about it with any kind of objectivity because I'm just like, what do you say about it? It was like as close to perfection, I think, as you can hope to get as somebody who like wants to wants to basically like engage with stuff that makes me as much as I want to be entertained by movies at the core, movies and television, etc. At the core, and part of why again we've been talking about the pit like the whole time it's been on. I want stuff to make me feel something. Like I want to get emotionally invested. I want
Yeah.
that empathy machine quality
It's
that
not.
movies and TV
Yeah.
can give you. And then when
And
you
this
have to
is
confront something like this, I so many complicated feelings where I'm sitting there at the end of the first episode just completely like, well, fuck. I was like, I mean, I know I'm always hearing about the CCTV footage. I know, like, you know,
most photographed place
London.
in the entire
Exactly.
world.
It's like I know that in the
England.
back of my head. But
And
then
yet it
when they're
still doesn't
like,
deter crime.
exactly. And then they show the video and I'm like, I'm sitting there as an audience member. I'm like, yeah, but it's TV, right? So obviously it's his friend. He didn't
Right.
actually
Yeah.
do it. It's his buddy, man, and he's getting railroaded. This is an
Yeah.
Eastwood situation. What the fuck's going on here? And I'm just like, okay, okay, like holding out a little bit of hope. And then we get into the second episode, we go into the school, and I'm just like, dude, what a nightmare. I was like, I've never made anything beyond a like short film and like music videos that I shoot myself. The idea of thinking of like wrangling like hundreds of
Uh,
kids in that environment is an absolute nightmare. I'm like, how did they do that? And I have watched all of the behind the scenes stuff on how, in fact, they did do this stuff. The show is nothing short of a miracle, dude. Like, I still can't believe they
when they
fucking
say,
pulled this
I
off.
heard that one they did in four, and then four that took 14.
Yes.
And I want to say that four probably took 14 solely because of the paint,
Oh,
I
I'm
would
so
say.
sure. Dude, can you
Or
imagine
it
going
was
through
fine
all
with
of that
every,
and getting to
yes,
the paint chuck and it's just like, oh, fuck. And like knowing that you blew it in the moment.
hmm,
But he's a producer, man. I mean, you can't, it's like,
yeah,
Steve, it's all on you, man.
yeah. It's
But I love
so,
the
and
commitment of like, no, we're not gonna CGI this. We're
nope,
not gonna fix it in post. It's like, no,
yeah,
this is the paint splatter. This is what it looks like.
yeah. So
This is
did you
the
have
this is the
multiple
best
things?
one we got out of 11
Right.
takes. This is the best paint splatter. I'm
Because, like,
sorry.
okay,
I'm trying to keep it light because this is the fucking darkest show I've watched in a very long time because it
yeah,
feels so frighteningly real and terrifying, frankly. And I am, there's two brothers sitting here on this podcast. Uh, I am not a father, but you are now, and
yeah.
I cannot imagine
Noah,
watching this as a
Noah,
parent. I cannot, like, oh my
I,
God.
so this, okay, this is, I'm going to try and be lighthearted because I saw this today and I'll bring it back around. Just give me a second. I saw this reel today, and it's these two guys that watch different clips of Bluey, and I think one of them doesn't have kids, and the bigger husky bearded guy does, and he is bawling
Hmm.
at this episode where I think they're gonna. I don't know if it's like the last one they did, and they're waiting for new ones, but it's like they're thinking about selling the house and moving, and then I guess at the end they decide not to,
Hmm.
and the one guy's bawling. It's like, hey, dude, it's okay. They say he's bawling, and he's like, it's so hard to know when you're making the right choices. And this episode just really hit me that, like, I don't know if I made right choices. So, pan to the last 20 minutes of episode 4, maybe give or take, maybe more or less. And they're just talking about him. We did this, but we made him. Remember when I took him to the football and he didn't really, when that grade, they just put him in goal and like all the other dads saw him and he looked at me and I couldn't look at him. I mean, I tried boxing and that didn't work, lasted like a day. Yeah. And then remember he wanted the computer and we got him the computer and all that. And they go through it all and they talk about him and you get the sense that like they're trying to separate, but this is going to be the elephant in the room, the albatross around the neck, whatever it is, that like it's going to be the thing that defines them for the rest of their lives as much as it's, hey, we didn't do this. We did everything we thought we should do. The business took off, so we weren't around as much, and we let him be in his room on the computer alone. But when he goes into his bedroom, and that last bit of it, dude, I was like right on the verge when he tucked the teddy bear in, he kissed it, and he said he was sorry. I fucking started bawling, dude. And
Oh yeah.
Becky's like, "It's okay. You're okay." I'm like, "I know I'm okay, but I live in that every day." And like I'm in the idea that like right now Maverick doesn't remember a lot. He remembers stuff, he's learning stuff. But like if I mess up or do something, maybe it's not going to be that bad because he's not like he's conscious, he's awake, he's asleep, he knows what he is, but he's not fully turned on. I think I've mentioned it before. I have no memory except for one day I woke up in our old house on Perry Boulevard and I asked mom who I was and what I was doing. She told me my name and told me I was going to school. And that's the first real memory I have. And I've been reading about a lot of people who there's like 10% of the entire population can remember in the womb and out and from there. The rest of us, we only remember like maybe 3, 4 ish. Takes us a little while before we have full consciousness and we're, and we can have memories.
Hmm.
And so I know that this stuff now that I'm doing isn't, if we're playing a numbers game, it's for us. I've been told Becky and I do this. This is just for us now. Seeing him learn, walk, and trying to walk and talk and growing as he is day by day. We don't see it because we're with him every day, but mom talks about coming over here, having missed, Saturday, Sunday, or like Monday, Tuesday not being with him. And it looks like he's grown so much, all this. And I'm like, okay, well, you don't
Hmm.
see him every day. So it is what it is. But the struggle of like feeling like you could be doing everything right, even though, yeah, there are books, there's, things, all this, there's, all that. I told Becky, I was like, you and me, Noah, and Becky and the people she went to school with, they just had to deal with the people in their classroom. And like kids today, they have to deal with everyone. The
Hmm.
kids in the kids in the class at the other school on the other side of town, everybody who has any sort of presence on the phone or on the computer or on the tablet, they've got to deal with all of it. I cannot imagine the things that I dealt with in like middle school and high school, the social awkwardness, the wearing the wrong thing or whatever. But when I thought all that stuff mattered, I can't imagine if like I did that and then someone captured it and showed the entire world what I did,
Yeah.
you know? Not necessarily trying to like do it to hurt me, but because they thought it was funny and they thought, well, the whole world should see it, you know? Not thinking like, well, should I ask Gavin if it's okay? Something like that. So
It's just, I mean, yeah,
it's
baseline.
it's
Kids,
everything.
we've always known kids can be pretty fucking cruel, and it's
They
like,
can also be
and then
pretty
you gave them.
fucking like not vindictive, but pretty fucking maniacal.
I mean,
Like if you look at his
okay,
performance that way, it's like, is he a
I,
burgeoning serial killer or is he
so
just a scared little boy?
I was convinced. I was like, oh, like, this kid's been at it for years over in England, like in theater. He probably came out of the womb acting.
Uh
This
huh.
is his first
Oh, I'm sure.
performance, and I was, I think it's Owen Cooper, I believe is the actor. I need to look up his name. Episode 3.
Oh, dude, don't that.
My God. Uh, and same for the psychologist, uh,
Oh yeah, the
the
interview woman.
therapist that
Yeah,
has to talk to him. Uh, just what a and again, I'm sitting there with so much wrestling with just like you again, my natural want to like, oh my God, the trying to see like the tragedy of it. Where it's just like, oh, and then he'll have a line like, you know, other guys would have done a lot worse to her. All I did, stuff like that. I could have touched her after I stabbed her, but I
I
didn't. A
didn't.
lot of guys would have, so that makes me better. Like then you get a line like that or something that is just so cold
Uh
and
huh.
bone chilling that you're just like, there's something missing there. How is that the same kid that is talking about hot chocolate a few minutes ago? Like, what the fuck, man? Um, just yeah. I I watched the show in a constant state of like jaw on the floor, not only because of again the technical crap, but the just like, what do you say, dude? Like what? And again, I think all the show is really asking you to do is like, hey, fucking, let's talk about this stuff. Let's
Yeah.
talk to your kids about what they're looking at, what kind of views they have about certain things. Like, you know,
We need to talk about
it's
Jamie. We
yeah.
need to talk about Jamie.
Let's seriously like let's get all this shit out in the fucking open. Um,
I did, and one of the things I did appreciate because in my head I'm like, why are we doing this? But I don't know if it was maybe to me it was more insight for the international viewer when the cop's son takes him aside. He's like, look, man, I see you going through here talking to these kids, and it is a waste of your time. This is what this means. You don't know because you're older and
well,
you have
dude,
no idea, but this is what she's saying to him. They were not friends. They did not like each other. There was no relationship. This is what he said. This is what she did. She commented this and blah, blah, blah. This is what this means. I didn't like seeing you floundering up there because you and I all we had people. I don't know if I don't think you had dare, but I had to dare in school. I had people of authority come and talk to me about things. When we had a classmate that passed away, I had like psychiatrists and people come talk to us about our feelings and stuff like that. And it did feel like, okay, you're an adult and you're talking to me, but like I'm kind of tuning you out because I'm on a whole different wavelength because I don't have 10, 20 years of life experience. I just know what I know now. So I'm not going to listen to you. And so again, I haven't watched any behind the scenes stuff, but I appreciate that little bit of like, hey, we're going to throw this at you to let you understand that like, were you leaning one way or the other? Did you see his friend and think, oh, maybe he did it. He looks just like him. It's the same. He almost looks like the same kid with just a different haircut or like a little bit maybe taller, slighter. It could have been him. We
yeah.
don't know. CCTV footage is grainy, and you can't believe what you see on every video. I mean, there's deep fakes
Yeah,
all over
like
the
I said,
place.
at the end of episode 2, I'm still leaning that way, even after he's like, "Ah, I gave him the knife and blah blah blah."
Right.
And I should also mention the absolute like the most transcendent moment of the technicality of the show, which is the end of episode 2 when it leaves the school parking lot, goes
And the
into a
drone
drone
shot.
shot,
Yep.
follows you all the way over to a close up on the face of Stephen Graham, who is visiting the grave or the memorial site of the girl where she was stabbed in the
Because
parking lot.
that's day 3, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
episode 2, but
Site
day
2 is
3.
day
I
3.
also
Yeah.
love as we start to move through time because as soon as we pick up episode 3, and again, we get into the it's essentially the one time we're boxed in again, even more kind of technically impressive because it's like we got to maintain this momentum in this little like powder keg of a
Hmm.
room, and the way that that event that boils over at different points with his different outbursts. And again, he's terrifying, and you're just the again the just the scariest part is the disconnect between a kid who on the surface seems like, yeah, seems like an average kid. Seems like he's got a good head on
Hmm.
his shoulders. And then you dig a little bit deeper and you realize that, like, no, something, this kid got some bad info from some bad faith people somewhere in the midst of his. And that's the thing I thought was really interesting too, is when they specifically ask him about the essentially like the manosphere stuff, the Andrew Tate stuff, like, have you
Hmm.
seen a lot of that? He even actively says, yeah, I checked a little bit of it out. What I didn't really like it,
Hmm.
wasn't that into it. But the idea that like those little nuggets, and as we all know with just the way our fucking algorithms work, even sometimes when you check something out of maybe say what we would call morbid curiosity or kind of, that kind of traffic accident sort of thing where it's just
Hmm.
like, I'm not into this, but I also want to be aware that this is happening, uh, at the same time,
You got to know your enemy.
how
So
that
yeah.
can slowly, like, essentially corrupt or infect your stuff where it's like, oh, you start getting a few more takes that start to lean this way. And it's like, and how that stuff just kind of gradually seeps in when it's like, when it's your friend group also echoing the same things and being exposed to the same sort of shit. And it's just like, again, I you so desperately want to scream at uh, a lot of young people in their teens that like, yeah, I know it's like the shittiest advice ever, but it's like just hold on. I promise you, like it gets better, but also let me. I also want to let those kids in on like the big secret that I feel like I've found, which is that like none of these adults are adults at the same time. They're all they're all just big children. Like
Yeah, your
also
actual
like
your age
the
has
way
nothing to
you
do with
are.
your emotional age at all.
I so want to say it's like the person you are now is like, yes, you want to be like, oh, it gets better and people grow and change, but I am like, no, fundamentally, like the person you are now,
That's who
you're
you're gonna
gonna
be.
be that person, so let's try and like make the person you are now the best possible version that they can be,
Right.
and don't get wrapped up in all of this shit that you think is going to be a life ruiner because of social anxiety or the way you think your peers are going to perceive you, and don't let it, oh my God, dude. I am the show made me very happy to not be a parent. I will say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also very terrified for all of the parents in my life. I cannot imagine. And again, a tough one to recommend where I'm like, I feel like this is essential viewing for everyone. Uh, but I also think it's a tough recommend for anybody, but especially anyone with children. Just what an absolute nightmare cautionary tale that
And
yeah,
not even,
I
and see,
hope
that's
that
the thing. It's not even a cautionary tale because
because there's no
in the
there
background,
is no this would have fixed it. That's what's so brilliant. Like
yeah,
I mean,
they talk
again,
about it at the end.
and
There's no, we wouldn't have known. We did everything we thought we should
And
do.
Stephen Graham said that was like one of the essential things from the get-go of the story. It was like, I want to explore knife crime. I want to
Yep.
explore young men assaulting young women, because there have been a rash of this in the UK.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, there's a rash of it
Really
literally
everywhere.
across the entire world. Uh,
The
but
state
he
we
was
live
like,
in is one of the worst.
yes, he was like, I want to look at all of this stuff because like, but the one kind of core central thing is there cannot be an easy out. There will be no abusive father. There will be no alcoholic
Hmm.
mother. There will be no easy answer to
As
how
to
and why
why.
this happened. There will
Right.
be no payoff to that in the traditional sense because we're trying to spark a conversation about how this could happen to again the brilliance of having the daughter there and the
Hmm.
reflection at the end of like
The
well we
older
made
daughter
we
too.
yeah we made her too and yeah the daughter who is a little bit like again a little their age gap is not huge but even just you think just
Isn't
in the
she the age
last
of the girl? Because the girl who did it was older than him. The girl he killed was older than him, right?
I thought they were classmates so I assumed they were the
Oh,
same
I thought
age.
no.
No, I
I'm getting
thought
it mixed up.
his
She's
sister is about to graduate and
right.
he's
That's right. Okay.
13, so I assumed
No, the well, no, because I thought the black girl that assaulted the dude, I thought she was in a higher grade than him because she steps out of the lines and comes over to him and starts beating the shit out of him
I thought they
when
were
they're all
divided
laid up.
up by classes, but
Oh,
also I
I
was just gonna say girls mature faster than boys, Gavin.
true, but like I thought that meant she was
That
like a
she looked
grade
like she could
older.
be a 13-year-old girl to me. Like,
True.
and I mean, she also
I
looked
just
like
thought
she
she
could
were
beat the shit out of that kid, which she did.
yeah.
So, yeah.
I do like the thing that I don't know whose idea it was, but the cop it did. It's like nothing's going on in there. They're just watching videos. This isn't a school. This is like a detention center. Like, bro, if you even knew,
Oh no,
like,
literally, yeah. All the little
like,
glimpses we get of like said and watch the video. Just the sheer chaos anytime they go into any room. And again, the realism of the fact that, like, again, one of your classmates has been brutally murdered, stabbed to death.
which is weird because like I
And the
feel like
reaction that
that's a
some of these kids have, the casual, just like, just another day at school. That is some of the most terrifying shit in this series. Is
hmm
the like, well, yep, that's just something that happens now. We gotta
hmm
go about our day. The fact that the school is still like operating, you know,
see
three
now.
days
Okay,
after this is
now what
wild
I
to
would
me too. Where I was just like, they wouldn't take a day of, oh,
right.
dude, I don't
Well,
know.
maybe they did, and maybe like they're just getting them back that day. We aren't told that, but we don't know. But
Right.
like, could you like okay? The only other thing, and I know that I don't want to see this. I'm not asking for it. If somebody did it with a little bit with if I'm not saying it needs to be the same team. Like it's almost kind of like, well, see, we don't have mass shootings and like school shootings here. We have stabbings and like all this other stuff. Could you see a world where like we have the same sort of thing and maybe there is like a movie or something out there about this, I don't know, but like the same kind of story, parents, mom and dad, real time of like, hey, you know, school shooting happens. Your son is the one who we think did it. We don't know. We don't really have any video or anything to do it, but we have these circumstances that like people say it's him. But like when we tested him, there was no GSR on his fingers. But like he wasn't at school that day, so we don't know if he came back on campus or we didn't, or like maybe it's a year removed or something. Like I just the stabbing and the CCTV and all that. It feels very British. It feels very like to your point. Like that's something that like I don't know. I always consider like I guess with all the Guy Ritchie movies and everything, I just assume every child had a knife in England. Like knives were just because there's no guns, they have knives. That's just it, you
Right.
know. So as much as and I'm glad it is being used as a conversation piece for that, and it can be translated to any, you know, any society, any country, wherever you can look at it and all have the same message. But I'd be interested to see if you think that anybody could pull that off, but giving it a like more American spin, because I still think as much as people watch it and have a conversation, there is going to be, I'll say a good 40, 30, 40% of the viewing public that's like, well, that just happens in England. They don't have it here. Who cares?
Well, I mean,
That they won't
I'm
engage with
sorry.
it. You know what I'm
The
saying?
the people who are unable to engage with it on that level of like broadening the perspective of like, oh, that's kind of like a parallel to our circumstances here are people who are never gonna fucking get it in the first place.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't think we need to make an Americanized version for people who are never gonna fucking pay attention to it anyways.
Yeah.
Uh, sorry.
But would you like to see that, like in America, like doing? Do you think it could be? Do you think it could be done and like extrapolated to like
I think
current, like the way that we do things here in the States?
um I would point people to one of the best movies of the last couple years. It's a slightly complicated because it stars somebody I'm not a huge fan of, but it
Is it
is a
The Flash?
masterpiece. Yes. Uh,
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
but yeah, I would point people to We Need to Talk About Kevin,
Yeah.
which directed by Lynn Ramsey and one of Tilda Swinton's best performances. And I think covers a lot of the same ground in the uh, it's got a different pitch to it because it's more like, could I have done anything? Like, does evil exist?
Right.
Uh, in that particular case, where it's a mom trying to reckon with all, kind of flashing through all of these moments with their child after they have committed you know, a, a terrible act, and basically questioning like, did I do this? Was it societal factors? Was it this? Was it that? And the movie does not offer any easy answers to that, I think, very purposefully. But I think that does, while again made by, I believe, an Irish woman and has a European flair to it. It is an American story
Hmm.
set and about a very American thing, school shootings, which is also something I am unfortunately obsessed with because I was 8 years old when Columbine happened, and it has infected my brain in a myriad of ways. So,
So
yeah.
follow that one up with The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood. Any more
No.
terrible children movies you want to recommend? No, I get,
No,
yeah,
but
no,
seriously,
this,
Adolescence again. It's gonna clean up at the Emmys. I think it's essential. It trans it transcends the medium where I'm like every once in a while we get one of these things where I'm just like, nope, that's just like that's why we do it, right? Or that's theoretically why we do this is so that
no, there'll be some
you
kid
can
somewhere
reach
that saw
people into
this
yes.
and it's like, this is me. This is what I want to do. I want to talk about important issues through a medium other than like writing and like doing a TED talk or doing a podcast. I want to put something in your face that makes you question, well, wait a minute now, you know, because like you said, the entirety until I watch that footage, what I see of him, she smacks him and she leaves and he chases her, follows her and stabs her. Until I see that video, I'm like, this ain't him. After I see that video, might be him. But then I didn't do it, Dad. I didn't do it. That's not me. I didn't do it. And I'm like, maybe he didn't do it. You know, I listened to plenty of podcasts. I've read plenty of stuff where like police have gotten it wrong. And just for the simple fact that like, I don't know how many there are in England, but I can tell you 300 people who've been exonerated who were put on death row or like in prison for life with just the shittiest evidence possible. Not even
Mhm.
a videotape that said they did it. So like, could it be that like, I mean, we're told that whenever they're gonna go get her, they can't even identify like family and next of kin of the girl because it just happened last night. I'm like, wait a minute, it happened last night, and you already going to this
Yeah,
kid's
no,
house at
of
6 in
course
the morning?
I'm immediately going like, dude, there's no way. I was like, oh, this is about like a kid and a family that get wrapped up in this insane situation. How do you deal with it? And then, the rug pull at the end of episode one, which I still, again, my dumb,
Me too. My
American
dumb
TV
true crime
watcher
American. Yeah, yeah,
brain
exactly.
was like, nah,
Nah,
he
bro. Nah, that's not
was like,
him.
absolutely not. And yeah,
I even
you're
said
in
out loud,
for a
yeah, yeah.
rude
Yeah.
awakening. A
I,
rude awakening by the time you get to episode three. It's like the hammer drop for all the dumb people in the audience who are like,
dude,
now,
I
just to
swear,
clarify, uh, yeah, here you
I
go.
said out loud to Becky, well, I mean, yeah, that happened there, but like, she could have, he could have just been, you know, pushed her down or like punched her. Maybe he didn't have a knife. He said somebody could have come along and done that when she was on the ground. I'm like, I'm actively like making excuses for like, yeah, but it couldn't. Maybe it's not it. Like, I don't think so. I think it's gonna be like a presumed innocence thing, and like it's not really him. It's somebody,
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to use this as a transition point. Obviously, uh, great. I'm sure we'll be talking about it, several months from now when we're doing our top 10 list. I want to use this to transition over to the pit. We got one more left.
Yes.
Okay. 15 comes next week. Here's all I want to say. It's, it's the best show on television. I think we've already said it a couple times. It's great. It's everything we could have ever hoped for it to be. It's already been renewed for season two. Do you know when we get season two? January
January
of 2026. Like
2026.
it's gonna come out
Yes.
like a normal television show, and it's
Yes.
gonna like we're just
Do
gonna
you do you know why?
because what?
They were one of the they put people back to work as soon as they could
Oh,
after
post
the
strike.
fires.
Oh, okay.
Strike. Is it strike or was it fires?
I mean, both happened
They
kind of.
they,
I mean, it was strike ended, and
they
then
did,
fires
but
was probably about 4 or 5 months later.
I think they got special permit, whatever, but there was a big petition for them to get going because they were putting so many people back to work
Hmm.
sooner. And that was before like we if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, there was a big revelation that like some big show that Rob Lowe does, they fly people to Ireland to film
Yeah, a
it
game
because
show that he hosts. I saw that thing
nothing shoots
with
in LA.
Adam Scott.
I've seen all these commercials for like Los Angeles because we all know next year we're getting the Olympics in summer games, right? 2024, 26, or is it winter games next year? I can't
I
remember.
I don't know.
Anyway, we it's either 26 or 28. We're getting
What
like
did
the
we just
Olympics
what did we
in.
just have that had breakdancing and all that shit? That was summer, right?
Right, that was 24. So when are we
Yes.
getting winter in Los Angeles? At some
I
point we're
don't
coming to
know.
Los Angeles,
I'm not
but I've
an
seen all these
Olympics guy, Gavin.
yeah, I know. I'm a curling guy. But I've seen all these commercials for Los Angeles and I'm like they have people touring these lots. I'm like, "Well, yeah, you're touring the studio because nothing's fucking shooting there anymore. Like you're not going to see a movie being made like and this is where they shot, this and that. No one's here anymore because it's cheaper to go shoot somewhere else because there's no incentives. But something about because I have to go back and listen to him on Marin, but like something about how they were doing production, they either got permits to keep going first or they were putting people back to
Yeah.
work right after the strike pretty quickly. Or it might have been the fires. I can't remember.
Yeah. So, anyways, we get the pit back very soon. It's also ending next week. I just want to say, I I gotta give the hats off because there were these kind of the big lingering thing. You and I talked about it definitely through text. I don't know if we ever got it on mic, but I floated the idea weeks and weeks ago that I was like, oh, dude, they introduced this pit fest going on in the background, blah blah
Oh
blah.
no, you
We
called
got
it.
the
You called
we
it.
got the shooter. Now, here's the thing though, is I was off because I went with as the show does, brilliant fake out plays against your prejudice and it's just like, hey, of course it's the creepy school shooter guy, right? Like
Yeah, no.
you're gonna naturally assume that the dramatic arc is like, oh, Dr. Robbie let him go, and then he killed Dr. Robbie's stepson, my God. Instead, no. We went with the absolute opposite of all of that and did even better dramatic effect, which was nope, his stepson's okay, but stepson's girlfriend, who took his ticket when he
Uh-huh.
decided not to work today, or decided to work today rather than go to
On a
Pit
day that he
Fest
never
on
works.
a day that he never works because of the anniversary of the COVID death of his mentor, all of that stuff. Because he chooses to work, she goes in his stead, she gets shot, and he can't save her. He also wastes a lot of blood on her when she's clearly gone and kind of just can't let it go in the moment and has a full on breakdown after he has to tell his stepson, Robbie, who, again, I loved this scene, dude, when he gets mad at him for not saving her.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go back and forth for a minute, and he's like, basically
I'll
like,
remember her name
motherfucker,
longer
I'll
than you
remember
will.
her longer than you will, which is probably fucking true. And he also, in the moment, is so ashamed of himself for saying it. I was just like, the dude had already won the Emmy like 10 times over this season already. But I was just like, dude, I didn't know he had more gears to shift into. And we get the full on breakdown at the end of episode 13. And I was just floored by it. And then, of course, I knew already that we were headed to, I was like, kid didn't do it. I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
kid didn't do it. In the back of my head, I'm like, dude, I wonder if they would still go a little bit TV and be like, hey, dude who punched out Dana,
Dude, me
what
and
if he
Becky
just
just said
snapped
that.
and was like,
Bex,
fuck the world? And so I'm still like, they could still go a little cliche TV, but again, not killing the stepson, killing the girlfriend, making it like ache so much harder that you couldn't save her, as opposed to like, it sounds fucked up, but it's like if he lost, right, it's like that would be devastating. He lost him to this tragedy. But there's something so much more twisted and fucked up about his girlfriend, like the love of his life up to this point, and I couldn't save her, and now this is this rift between the two of like there's so much more
because
devastating.
he's not with her mom anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a kid he knows,
Yeah.
essentially. No blood
That
tie,
he
no
that he
nothing.
partially, I'm sure, helped raise and is like
Yeah.
a mentor to in some
Hmm.
ways, but is like, yeah, it's like that's how do you what an interesting dynamic again
Yeah.
to like explore in a future season, which I'm sure we will. But I just yeah, I was really weirdly proud of the show for not taking in for flirting with the cliched like here's how we would have done things
Oh,
on network
the trailer
TV.
definitely shows you, like,
Yeah,
makes you
20
think,
years
like,
ago, but coming back to like hey, we're gonna actually play with your expectations a little bit. Uh and I think it's paid off incredibly well. These last few episodes, again, we had a mass casualty event at Pitfest, were some of the most like harrowing, intense episodes in a series that we've already been through several weeks where it's just like, dude, this was rough. This one was a rough one. And it just to all of a sudden ramp up to this in the last little bit. And we should dial back just a little bit because again, we didn't meet up for our check-ins prior. But
yeah, because we're
the
meat
other
preserve
big
and
things,
ultimate. Yeah.
the uh the the Langdon stuff.
Go home, Frank.
That yes, the reveal that Santos is, she's a ball buster, but with good reason. She's good at her job. She's like, I know something's off here. That guy's, there's something off with this guy. Turns out he's popping. Is it benzos? What is he doing? What is,
He was taking the black guy who is a frequent flyer and doesn't take his Librium. He was taking his Librium to wean himself off of drugs that he was prescribed by. So he has a prescription for the narcotics that he is taking. But what he was trying to do is wean himself off of it on his own with Librium, but he couldn't get a script for Librium, so he was taking it from the guy who was never going to take it anyway. He just flat out told him, I'm not. The drunk, the black guy, I can't remember his name. The one
right,
that's always wanting a sandwich.
but he had also been siphoning meds from different, because that was the
We
whole
don't, we
caps
don't,
thing, right?
well, we don't know that.
Well, we don't know
We're
that
supposed,
yet.
she
They got
was
to do the
supposed to.
audit of all of his medications to make
Right.
sure they were
So
actually delivered and stuff. But couldn't
it
he
could
just
just be
cook the books on all of that shit
he could.
if he
That's
was
why they
really
wanted,
covering his ass?
right. Which leads me to think he would just took him off dude. And that's what he had, and that when he went to go like administer it, it was one that he had out like, because he had him in his locker, but like maybe he just had one on him and they were doing something and he went to go
I'm
give it to
okay.
her.
Gotcha. I'm sorry. So to
And
clarify, do you think Langdon should have been sent home or not?
I mean,
You
yeah,
Is this a railroad situation, or are you? That's what
I
I'm asking.
think, I mean,
Because I had not gone down this road at all. I was just like, dude's a dude stealing medication. He's got to go. And I didn't like
right.
his vibe to begin with. Kind of
And my
cocky
thing is,
asshole, like a less
yeah,
charming Doug Ross. And
right. But
honestly
my,
seemed kind of like keyed up when he'd be talking about, oh, I got to do this for my wife and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, this guy's got a lot of pep for, yeah.
mhm.
Okay. Anyways,
Well, the thing is, I can't remember how many of his patients died.
I don't know either.
But
Maybe
again, this
we'll.
is this is just one day.
It
This
is
hadn't
one
been
day.
going on for one day. It's been going on for a while.
Exactly. And
So
I'm interested to see where we leave it and if he, because honestly, when he left, when he sent him home several episodes ago, I was like, we'll never see him. And then, of course, he also sends Collins home
we
after
haven't seen her
that
yet.
whole. I kept thinking she
That was
was
rough.
gonna randomly get a call and she was gonna like, what I honestly thought was the breakdown at the end of the previous episode.
Hmm.
I thought I did not see Whitaker coming in to be the guy to get him out of it. And I actually loved the payoff of that.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, twinning the opening of the season in a very
Yeah.
cool way. But I thought the only person who's going to get him out of that room, other than Dana, the head nurse, would be if Collins
Right.
had somehow gotten a call or saw the news and realized, oh shit, they're in a crisis scenario. I need to head back. And she showed back up, and I thought maybe they were going to have a moment there. But I think she might just be done for the season. But obviously, I think we'll see her again in the future.
Yeah.
That whole kind of payoff to her miscarriage, which was incredibly rough, and then the reveal also at the same time that like, hey, I got pregnant before with your baby,
Uh-huh.
and it wasn't the right time, and I'm telling you about it now for the first time, and the way that entire scene between the two of them in the ambulance is
Mm.
just like immaculate stuff, dude. It's so, oh my God, so good. Uh, and yeah, I have nothing but glowing things to say about the show. It just, and again, oh, dude, this episode, sorry, McKay's dad shows up, and it's like, hey, I brought my actual dad to work. I
Yeah, I
was like,
know. That was dope, dude. I was like,
I
oh,
was so happy.
look at him.
I
There
was
he
like,
is.
oh wait, so we can get Brad Dourif cameos like at least maybe once a season. I'm
Can we get
totally,
Brian?
totally
Can
down
we
for
get Bryan
this.
Cranston? Can he come in there too?
I would definitely be down for that, dude. Cranston on the studio.
Just
That
stumbles in and's like looking for his
I
daughter,
I
make sure
need
she's okay.
I need you to start watching the studio immediately.
I can
So
start it tonight. After I finish Rome, I got to finish this Rome TV series from HBO from back in the 2000s.
we're what any other big developments that we wanted to hit? Any patients that stuck with you? Et cetera, et cetera.
I
Oh, dude,
appreciated,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I just appreciated in the breakdown that he was like, and then this happened, and then this little girl came in and she drowned
Oh,
and
dude, when he
died
goes
trying to,
through
when
everything that's
he
happened in the
lists
course of the
everyone.
day.
But he also talks about like the wins of like the pregnant woman he saved and this and that. But like he know because from jump, I said it back then to now, the first time taking something on a college campus, fentanyl overdose, brain dead kid, that that scares the shit out of me more than like my kid might knife a girl and then tell everybody it wasn't him. And like that terrifies me more than anything because like I can't control that. I can tell my kid not to take drugs off the street. I can preach to him all night long, and I can tell my kid, "You don't hurt women. You don't do violence to people." What do you think might happen? Relatively more likely to happen than like my son knifing somebody. My son taking a drug that somebody gives him because he thinks it's going to keep him awake to study. Surprise! It's laced with fentanyl, and he dies. He's brain dead.
Hmm.
Every single one of these that's had to do with it's like being a father is like one of the dopest, is the dopest thing I've done as a human being. I recommend it to anybody who thinks if you even think you want to be, do it. You know,
Hmm.
just do it. But it has also taught me what true fear is more than anything. Like I used to like look at stuff and be like, well, might not be a problem if I didn't have any more bills left. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this and that. I'm not really scared of these horror movies because this or that. I don't get scared of any of that stuff anymore. It's literally these true life things that like come out of nowhere and grab you. You're like, what do you do? What
Yeah.
do you do? You have no pivot real quick. We watched this documentary about the twister that hit Joplin, Missouri, and one of these little girls that survived it by getting in a meat freezer was like, after that, I realized you really do have no control whatsoever in your life. Whatever you think you do
Hmm.
about what you decide to drink, where you're going to go, how you drive, where you work, who you know, who you love. You don't have any control ever.
Yeah.
And like that stuck with me. I was like, yeah, that girl's right. You don't have any control. So I think I can control situations like, hey, Mav, don't take any drugs from anybody that you have been prescribed by a doctor. Hey, Mav, don't do this to anybody. Violence is wrong. But I don't have any control over it. But again, that I think is why this show and Adolescence and all this art has resonated so much more with me at my current. If this was 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't have the same reactions and the same feels. I'd just be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, great TV." But like I'm telling you, Noah, that every single episode of The Pit has stuck with me for at least a day or two. I'm still not over Adolescence. I'm not over that last shot of him again
Oh yeah.
kissing the bear and telling him I'm sorry and just the guttural crying and like just the look on his face. It's like if anybody's going to steal the Oscar or not Oscar, the Emmy from Noah Wiley, if it's Stephen Graham, I'm okay with it,
Well, see,
but
that's
it should
that's
go to Noah Wiley,
that's the beauty is they don't have to compete against each other
right?
because
Because the Emmys do it differently.
limited series
Series,
versus ongoing
right?
drama.
Okay,
And
good.
the
That's
Pit will be
perfect.
he'll be up for best actor in a drama,
Good,
not for a
good.
limited series.
Whew,
And so
okay, good.
we don't have to choose, baby.
They could stand together, baby.
Yeah.
They could be hitting the after parties with the little what I don't know what the Emmy
We
is. I
don't
don't know
have to
what kind of
choose, but
statue
I
it is.
truly I'm like in both of those cases I'm like if Noah Wiley and or Stephen Graham leaves empty-handed, I feel like there will be a collective like riot at the Emmys. I
Yeah,
definitely think that
seriously.
might happen.
When
Uh,
is the broadcast for that?
I don't know.
Okay, because they're not
They're always on a weird schedule, and the cutoff is strange as well. Sometimes we have stuff from 24 and 25 competing against
okay.
each other. I don't know any of the rules or how it
I'm
works.
just saying I'm gonna actually pay attention this year. I
Oh,
normally don't,
yes, for sure.
so I definitely
But
will.
yeah,
Not saying we need to do a podcast about it, but like
again,
we
the
like
last one that they had, like True Detective Night Country was up for awards, if that
okay.
makes sense. And you
So it
remember
was
True
last
Detective was
year.
like this time of this year. Yes,
It was in
but like,
January of 24. So
or it might have been, I don't know. I don't know.
who knows?
Again, the
Yeah,
Emmys are, they'll be here eventually. Okay. And I think
but I'm
that
saying we're gonna get them
Pitt
coming up
and
before the end of the year.
Adolescence are going to clean up. I truly, two of the best, we will definitely come back and tag up on the finale of the Pit
Oh
when
yeah,
it's all
definitely.
said and done. But what a show. If you haven't already tapped in, I feel like there's definitely probably some people who are waiting for like, hey, I want it to all be out so I can binge it. And I think it's kind of happened in waves where people have like,
Right.
oh, I'm gonna catch up. I know Mom waited for a while to get into it.
Hmm.
And so I think it's had this nice steady increase. Before we get out of here, which we do need to do soon because it's getting a little late, but I don't think we've talked at all about White Lotus. They have one more episode left as well. Are you up to date?
I watched the first season, make vaguely. I think I remember the finale of the first season, and I
Okay.
haven't watched anything since. I hear great things.
I did
I
not
think
real.
Becky watched season two, so
Are you
I'll maybe have to.
watching Gems? Are you watching Gemstones?
Oh, it was another All American Gemstone vacation, lake vacation.
Lake Weekend.
Daddy came, Daddy came. Daddy, oh, dude, the
Daddy,
amount of hanging
your dick
dongs.
is leaking pre-cum. It's coming through your pants, leaving wet spot on your
Dude,
pants.
when we realized who Miss what her who friend was, Becky was like, "Is that?" I was like, "Yeah, that's Nick Offerman's wife." She was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Yeah."
Dude,
So she wants Nick Offerman to be Big Dick whoever from the dealership. I was like, that would be perfect if it was him.
that
I
would be
don't think
funny.
it's gonna be, but like that would be
The
hilarious if he shows up.
I'm
Big Jim in the
thoroughly
dealership, whoever
enjoying
it
the
is.
runner of Sean William Scott just like absolutely hating his wife
Yeah,
and how she did just like relentlessly
he's
mocking her after everything.
he's trying to do snaps on her and stuff like that. It's just not working. I love it, dude.
It's
And the
got that
amount,
vibe of you remember the really trashy girl from the first season of Eastbound, like the
yes.
local and everything. It's got the vibes of the way they
He
treated that character for some
is it.
reason. It's so mean.
Is that the one he's like, it's called a dental dam. Look it up or whatever.
Yes. Yes.
And is the guy from his buddy
It's
from
not just
Eastbound?
it's not just
It's,
for me. You don't know what kind of
it's
shit I got either.
yes. That might be my next one I go back to before the before leftovers on HBO
It
will be
is
that. Oh God.
as much as I love gemstones, as much as I love vice principals, we will never like. I mean, and it's there's nothing wrong with this, but we will never ever glimpse we'll never touch the tippity top of the mountain that was Eastbound and Down. It's just
There,
it's
dude.
so what I do love about this final season of Gemstone so far, I was trying to figure out a way to articulate it to Barham because I think he's in the midst of catching up and he sent me the Lake Weekend, the very like the last 3 minutes of the Lake Weekend scene with the 69ing and that whole conversation and all of that. And I don't think he'd even gotten to it yet. He just sent it to me on social media. And I was like trying to figure out how to describe it. I was like, dude, it has the Eastbound season 2 and 3 energy of like,
Yes.
I can't believe I got away with the first season and people loved it. So like I'm just now gonna like the I could do whatever the fuck I want.
And
The
see, we
weirdest
thought that was
instinct I've ever
we
had, the joke where I'm like, this will never play. All of that, it's going in the script. And I just feel McBride going like, dude, fourth season, like he in again, season 3 ends perfectly. Like the show that that would have been fine. Every season has ended where it's like if they don't make any more of this, that's totally fine. It's great. And but this season
watch them flip it
particularly
though. Watch them
has
flip it and
the
make you want another season
oh, I'm sure
that
they
you're not
will.
going to get. Yeah.
But I also let's remember this is the guy who only came back to do Eastbound and Down season 4 because they were like, we'll let you do vice principals, but we need one more season. And what he did with season 4 of Eastbound and Down, I think, is incredible, particularly the ending. The very end of that show is so perfect that you're like, I'm so glad they made this season
Right.
to get to
Exactly.
this end point. And that's where I'm just like, dude, knowing that he had that ending in him, I'm so curious to see where Gemstones ends up. Because there's little things, dude, like in the Lake Weekend scene, when when Judy goes to turn a bitch out on this
Special powers.
Miss yeah,
What? Miss
Miss Lori,
Lori?
stop trying to rape me. Like, dude, when
Stop
she
touching my bare titty
that
meat.
bare titty meat, dude. Okay, so we're in that scene. I'm like dying, dude. Again, I think Edie Patterson is like maybe the
She's
funniest
so
person on the
fucking, yes,
planet, dude.
I
She
agree.
her line deliveries, there are times when I just have to like run it back 10, 15 seconds. Like it's so fast and furious sometimes and I can't breathe because I'm laughing so hard. But that scene, right? I'm dying laughing or whatever. And then Lori points out, Megan Mullally is like, this is this is exactly how you started behaving when your mama got sick. And she's doing this denial thing and everything. And I'm like, wait, dude, I was like, motherfucker, like, I don't know how Danny McBride does this, but I'm like, dude, you just snuck in all this pathos where I'm like, dude, she's just like a hurt little girl. Like,
It's all
I
she ever
understand.
is.
I was like, I understand Judy in a way that like, I was like, dude, I mean, I've always loved her. She's my favorite character on the show, but I was just like, holy shit. And the acting Edie Patterson is doing in response to that, where uh, she's like, I don't know if you have enough data on that. So like, she just kind of tries to play it off. But you can see in her performance that like that shit really hit her. And I was just like, dude, that's the magic of these shows. It's like these characters are ridiculous. We
Yes.
should like we should despise them for all intents and purposes, but we love them. We absolutely love them, dude. And I was just like, I I can't wait for this to end, mainly because I can't wait to see what the next McBride project is, and I just hope that it's in Charleston. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
I, I just whatever you guys want to do, keep the train rolling. But like, let's do another one of these. I undefeated on HBO as just
No.
as a
Yeah. I can't think
creative.
of. Yeah. I can't think of anybody who's like just hit after hit after hit. And it's the thing of
And
like,
again, and the most, we have to just imagine, relative to almost every other show on the network, the most affordable guy to have in your corner, where it's like, we
100%.
could probably pay him a fraction of what
So,
all of
okay.
these other productions are getting, and the return on investment is going to be. Dude, there was a shot in this League Weekend episode of, like, I mean, there was the water skiing, obviously, which is hilarious, but
Dude, the amount of hanging
them in
dong we've
the,
got this
yes,
season,
it's
dude,
been
I'm
every
fucking
episode. We've gotten
every
full
episode.
frontal
We
in every
have to keep
episode.
it up. We've got to keep it up.
There's a shot when Baby Billy's in the hot tub. They're on the back like veranda or whatever, very early on when they're approaching. and the like the perfectly mirrored reflection of it. I was like, and then on top of it, I was like, and then you have episodes that like I think this one was done by McBride or David Gordon Green, I forget, where it's just
He
like the
directed
show
McBride
looks.
directed this
I
one.
was like, the show just looks so much better than it even needs to or has any right to. It still manages to be like cinematic and have stuff in it where I'm just like, it doesn't need to look this good, and it does. It's fucking great. Like I love
I
everything
mean, dude,
about
we
it.
haven't
They're
even talked about
crushing.
like we haven't even talked about fucking Bradley Cooper in episode one.
So
Just
I
coming
I
down
don't
to
know if
South Carolina wearing period piece garb for nothing.
I don't know if I said this on mic.
Nothing.
I knew I knew about this cameo for about a year in advance.
Yeah.
I think I vaguely talked about it, but I was under the impression that like basically my friend of a friend, Rob, who worked set construction carpentry on all four seasons of Gemstone, he tells me basically the opening scene. So I'm like, oh, dude, that's crazy. Like, part of me is like, well, shit, huge spoiler, but I'm also like, oh, okay, it's probably just like a cool little cameo flashback in the midst of the season or whatever.
Right.
So when the season opens with it, I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, shit. Well, now I don't have to hide that for like any more amount of time. And like, I guess we're not going to build up to it. And what I did not expect, because again, that all he told me was Bradley Cooper is basically, he's con man. He's the original Chipstone. And he steals a preacher's identity and like all this, he gives me the whole setup of just those first 5 minutes. I did not realize we were getting a full on 45-minute episode that also, again, talk about the like I'm dying laughing every time that he, is supposed to deliver a big stirring speech. It's just like, well, this is all I got. And then but then we build to that end moment where all of his dudes get killed in front of him and he's spared. And I was just like absolutely all of a sudden floored by I was like, wait a second. Whole like, why am I on the verge of tears right now? Like this guy in the midst of being a fucking charlatan, like actually finds his faith. And
Right.
it's this core of like it actually like this is their origin story, which makes sense for how fucked up this family is, but it's something that
Right.
McBride came back to. I was listening on Conan's podcast recently where he's like, the core is these guys actually believe though. Like it's not they are the cliche would be, oh, they're mega church hucksters who, are just pulling the strings on all these plebes, just using religion and all of this against them. And they are to a certain extent.
But they
But
actually
the
believe all
core
the
of it
shit they're
is
talking.
they actually believe all of this shit.
Yeah.
And there's something endearing about that. Even as many problems as I have with organized religion myself, there's something about that core of like heart, if you will, to the show that I think is like kind of the thing that shines through in all of the McBride stuff, which is like I will take the most reprehensible, despicable character you have ever seen that says all the wrong things at all the wrong
The amount of
times,
times he
and
says goddamn, goddamn, goddamn in every
I will
episode, I'm
make
just
you care about them. I
you
will
love
do
him.
it because that's my magic trick. Yeah.
Okay, what about what about I'm scared of storms, Keith? And he goes into this
Like the
and he's like,
devil's like the devil pissing on you. Oh, dude,
stay
his
out
whole
something. Dude,
dude,
Tony is so
Keith this entire
fucking
season is killing me, and I feel so that whole monologue though, I was like, oh, dude, is the devil like slipping back in
right.
to Keith because we know like he's had his bouts with Satanism and going outside of the church, and I was just like. That could be I could be very into like maybe we get like a possession episode and
Oh
David
dude,
Gordon
I mean
Green's like, hey, I bailed on those other two Exorcist movies, so fuck it, let's do one right now. Like,
right.
yeah, I'm having a blast. Great show. I'm enjoying the cameos thus far. I
What
don't know
about
if we have any like big unannounced ones that might be heading in there. And again, I get I did not realize you hadn't been watching White Lotus, but the joy of going from one
my
completely different
one
version
Walton
of
Goggins and
Goggins
yeah, yeah.
to Baby Billy for the last couple weeks has been great. Have you seen the monologue from this season of White Lotus though, like circulating on your social media?
No.
I'm just gonna send it to you out of context.
Okay.
Uh, I don't want you to watch it on mic because it's gonna take way too long, but
No, I'll watch it.
this will get you to watch season three.
Okay.
Hold
And
on.
again, I don't have to watch two to watch three. I could just watch three and be done. Or is there like
Yeah, no, you can
connective
jump.
tissue?
Yeah. No,
There's no
as a
connective
matter of
tissue.
fact, no, the connective tissue is between one and three. So it would honestly make even more sense to just jump to three
Okay.
and then you could come back to two.
Huh, okay.
But there will be some spoilers having watched three in advance, but nothing that's going to ruin season two for you, if that makes sense.
I'll probably just watch it like I'm supposed to. One, two, and three. I remember, like I said, I remember most of one because we watched it together, Becky and I. And then I think she may have watched two and not realized that three had come out yet.
Okay. Actually, no, this is how we're going to wrap up the episode. Uh, if you would please pull up your phone and watch this live. I don't care. This is how we're going to wrap the episode. This is the scene from White Lotus season three that everybody's been talking about. I'm going to make Gavin watch it live, and then we are going to sign off afterwards. If you don't want to stick around for what will hopefully be a fun little end bit, I have been Noah. He has been Gavin. We've been the Blanchard brothers. You've been listening to what we've been watching. We'll be back very soon with some more TV wrap up stuff and maybe a movie review if they release anything worth seeing in the theater. Warfare, come on. Sinners, come on. Where are my April movies? Come on,
Dude,
guys.
Warfare's the weekend that I'm going to Virginia, and then the weekend after that is Sinners.
That's what I'm saying. The back half of March has sucked, though. Like, there's been nothing to do for the
Yeah,
last couple weeks, personally. I just, like,
you live in Charleston, though. There's tons of things to do.
do you have it pulled up?
I do.
All right, we're the
I'm at,
Blanchard brothers, and thank you for listening.
yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. Let me turn my volume up so I can hear.
Yeah, because I need to hear you hear it.
I moved here because, well, I had to leave the States, but I picked Thailand because I always had a thing for Asian girls, you know. And when I got here, I was like a kid in a candy store. If you got money, no attachments, nothing to do, I started partying. Yeah. It got wild. Mm-hmm. I was picking up girls every night, always different ones, petite ones, chubby ones, older ones, sometimes multiple ladies a night. I was out of control. I became insatiable. Mm. And, after about 1,000 nights like that, you start to lose it. I started wondering, where am I going with this? Why do I feel this need to fuck all these women? What is desire? The form of this cute Asian girl, why does it have such a grip on me? Because she's the opposite of me. Is she going to complete me in some way? I realized I could fuck a million women, I'd still never be satisfied. Maybe what I really want is to be one of these Asian girls. Really? You know? Not really. No, really. Really. So one night I took home some girl, turned out to be a lady boy, which I'd done before, but this time, instead of fucking the lady boy fucked me. It was kind of magical. And I got in my head what I really wanted was to be one of these Asian girls getting fucked by me and to feel that.
Oh my God.
So I put out an ad looking for a white guy my age come over and fuck me. That guy looked a lot like me. And then I put on some lingerie and perfume, made myself look like one of these girls. And I thought I looked pretty hot. And then this guy came over and railed the shit out of me. And I get addicted to that. Some nights, 4 guys would come over and rail the shit out of me. Somebody even had to pay. At the same time, I'd hire an Asian girl. I just sit there, watch
Oh my
the
God.
some guy's fucking me, and I think I am her. I'm fucking me.
Oh my God.
Hey, we all have our Achilles heel, man. Where does it come from? Why are some of us attracted to the opposite form, and some of us the same? Sex is a poetic act. It's a metaphor. Metaphor for what? Are we our forms? Am I a middle-aged white guy on the inside too? Or inside, could I be an Asian girl? So I was trying to fuck my way to the answer. And then I realized I gotta stop the drugs, the girls, trying to be a girl. I got into Buddhism, which is all about spirit versus form, detaching from self, getting off the never-ending carousel of lust and suffering. Being sober isn't so hard. Being celibate, though, it's. I still miss that pussy, man.
Still miss that pussy, man. That's yeah.
My God,
That's the scene
dude.
that everybody's talking about.
What the fuck?
So you're gonna watch season 3 now?
I will. Jesus Christ. What the fuck? I mean, is that how much Rockwell is in there? Is he in there like every episode?
No, I will just
Is
say
that
that's what
it?
makes it even better. Well,
Oh my
no,
God.
what makes it even better is he's unlisted. Nobody knew about it. Like that there was
Uh-huh.
a secret extra cameo, basically. And there's already another big name who they set up earlier, who like you see a picture of, and you're like, oh fuck, such and such is in the show. Won't spoil it for you. Um, and so you kind of didn't see it coming. Also, it's dead in the middle of an episode that is already kind of like pretty fucking out there and wild. And then you just like get dropped into that monologue for 5 minutes. And it is truly just like it's all anybody was talking about the next day, where it's just like, did everybody see that fucking scene? Like, oh my God, is that the funniest fucking thing that's happened on television in the
When was
last
that?
decade? It was like three
When
weeks
was
ago.
that?
It's like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, I was gonna say, did they pull out all the stops because they knew Gemstones was coming behind it? But
I don't even, yeah, no, I think that was a week or two before Gemstone started, but
that's funny.
oh my God. Yeah. So
Jesus Christ.
you won't know when it's coming, but then, of course, when you arrive in that scene, when you're watching the season, it will hit even harder. But you can watch
Yeah.
it out of context, as I've shown it to many people, and yeah, it just plays because it's fucking
Dude, just
hilarious.
Walt Goggins
His reactions
reactions
alone.
are worth they're
Yeah.
worth every fucking penny,
So
dude.
now I can send you all the memes that I guess there may be some in your feed because I assumed you were
There might
watching
be.
season 3. So scroll back up through there. My favorite though, by far, is employer. Can you explain this gap in your employment history? And then it's just Rockwell, and the caption is like, "Buckle up." Like the monologue. Also, you can get
Okay, I
you can
saw
get
that.
that entire monologue on a trucker hat, like spelled out word for word, that they are selling online right now. And I'm seriously considering getting it. Like it goes all the way across the forehead of the trucker hat and then down the bill to like get, the
That
entire
is
monologue in there. But it's
hilarious.
start to finish with all the pauses and everything in there. I think I might have to buy one of those
That's
and never
hilarious.
wear it, but it'll be some sort of decorative thing that's just
Yeah,
okay, that was our little extra wrap up bit. The episode's already over. I'm playing music, or I already played some. We love you guys. Thanks for listening. We're the
thank you
Blanchard
guys for
brothers.
listening.
We'll be back soon. Bye bye.